Wonderful. Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And on this lovely Wednesday, happy Valentine's Day, celebrating happiness, love, and good health always. And today, permission, chocolate, cookies are acceptable. So we're allowed today. That's my free pass for the day for everyone. Welcome to our session today. My name is Mary Curry with Elders Youth Prevention Ontario, and today we're going to be discussing two very important yet separate abuses that are happening to older adults, from what is called financial abuse, and the other form of financial abuse is when the older adult is being targeted by a fraud or a scam. So we're going to speak about each of those very separately and understand what the differences are. But ultimately, the goal for both of them is to take an older adult's money and exercise that power and control over their finances. So a little bit about us, for those of you maybe joining us for the first time. Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario is the Ontario government mandated project to combat elder abuse in the province of Ontario. Simply put, as we say, we all have a role to play in combating elder abuse. And our mission, shared with the Ontario government under the Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility, is to see Ontario where all seniors are free from abuse, have a strong voice, and can feel safe and respected every day. And we do this, as we say, by three different priorities in the strategy. And what I love is we are priority number one, and that is doing public education awareness, where we want to promote and educate on awareness about elder abuse and provide information not only on understanding what constitutes elder abuse, but if and when someone needs to reach out for services, what is available in the province to be there to help them, to guide them, and to support them. And we're going to go through a lot of those services at the end of the presentation today, so everyone will make sure they know if and when they ever need resources, that they are always available to you. Also training staff across the province, and these are frontline staff who would be working with seniors from policing partners, hospital, paramedics, ambulance, fire. Really the goal there is to ensure that all frontline staff are able to recognize and be there to respond and support an older adult in an elder abuse situation. And of course, last but never least, working with communities across the province in community services, because we want to build partnerships, to share information, and working together to combat our efforts in our fight against elder abuse. So let's begin with what we're learning today on understanding why we are seeing, unfortunately, not only a constant rise in financial abuse that are happening to older adults, but frauds and scams that are targeting older adults every day. First and foremost, what we understand is when we look at these, we say these three components, is the greed. Greed means things that the abuser or the fraud and scam con artist is after one thing, and that is money. They are looking to target an older adult to get their money. We're going to dive into a little bit more with some of the abusers and why some of these traits may happen, and why with financial abuse, older adults may be targeted by family members. We also understand that there's sometimes this false sense of entitlement where the abuser or the fraud or scam person on the other end of the line or phone thinks, well, I have a right to your money. I deserve to get it. You know, they may think, well, an older adult has lots of money and I should be enjoying it. So this false sense of entitlement continues to fuel that evilness, to take that greed and to commit these crimes to take an older adult's money. And last but not least, they believe they have this opportunity. From a financial abuse point of view, where the opportunity is, well, I know the older adult very well. I know their physical and mental vulnerability. I'm their caregiver. So I know that I can get access to their funds and their property. An opportunity from someone who's committing a fraud or a scam thinks, oh, it's an older person. I can trick them. I can make them believe something that isn't true, so I can get that opportunity to get their money, which all comes back to that greed. The end result wants for them to have that financial gain and control over us, and for us, sadly, to have that monetary loss. So what is financial abuse when we speak about that under the form of elder? Financial abuse is the improper conduct that can be done with or without the informed consent of the older adult. So what that means is it results in a personal gain of money or property to the abuser and a personal loss to the older adult. So an example that people say, well, Mary, what do you mean consent? If I gave consent, then how can this happen? Well, meaning consent, you maybe ask a family member, a friend or a neighbor, do you mind heading out to the grocery store and picking me up a few things? Here's my debit card. Go ahead and you can, use it for my purchases. So you've given consent for your purchases. What you didn't give consent is that now that person is buying those things and then adding their items and saying, well, I'm going to have you pay for my things as well. They come back home, they hand you back the debit card and the receipt, and you notice, well, there's a lot of extra items under that I didn't consent to. And this is where that abuse and control can begin to take over, when they could say, well, the next time do your own groceries, or I'm not going to help you. So that is just a small example of what it can begin to look like when someone wants to dominate that control over you and use the consent you've given for their personal gain. And in this case, it's taking, money out of your bank account for purchases you did not authorize. Financial abuse can come in different forms. When we speak about understanding that, again, that loss to the older adult and that monetary gain to the abuser. We see a rise when documents, especially financial documents, are being fraudulently signed by the abuser for them to gain control over older adults.
Mary, can I just interrupt you for 1 sec?
Sure.
So,
Yes.
you're going through the financial abuse material, and our session for today was actually the scams one. We were going to do the financial one at the second half for anybody who wanted to stay. I'm just,
Oh, sorry. Okay, I have them sort of together. I was doing finance. Sorry, I can flip it around.
so are you doing them simultaneously?
I was going to do the financial and then lead into the fraud and financial abuse, and then followed by fraud and scams right after.
How, can you just tell me, just for everybody here in the room, about how long will the whole thing take?
Just under an hour.
So everybody's okay with that? That's fine then. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't 1 hour for one and then 1 hour for the other. And some people were here specifically for the frauds and scams.
Oh, sorry, we're gonna, combining them both together, the hour, so both the information is there for everyone.
Okay.
Is that okay with everyone? You let me know, I'm here for you.
I think so, as long as it's not longer in time so that people know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
I promise I'll come to it before 2 o'clock.
Okay, thanks so much.
You're welcome, no worries. And sorry, so financial abuse, as we said, can also look at forms such as documents being signed with fraudulent signatures, unpaid bills, meaning you've asked someone to pay your mortgage, your rent, your utility bills, and you've given them the money to do so, or you've given them access to do online banking from your bank account, but they're using that money for their own personal gain. We also understand when the misuse of a power of attorney can happen, and that's a session I hope we can book at a later date and time and talk about together, because that really does require us to dive in much deeper in understanding what that means when misuses of powers of attorney happen for our property. And one of the last signs, of course, is to understand any changes that somebody may be pressuring you into the way you spend your money, or wanting you to change your will, or any other financial documents to gain that, again, financial control over your assets and your property. In understanding financial abuse, we speak about people we know. This is the family, the people we love and we trust for the most part. And when we're going to get into frauds and scams in the next 2 slides, that is more so coming, as we say, from that stranger, a person who we've never met or we don't know, but could be targeting us because we're an older adult. So in understanding the abuser that's coming from our family, a friend or a neighbor, this is where we say this is that person who may be in our lives in a position of trust because they know us, they know our physical and mental vulnerability. And so we sort of just covered there as well, and sort of the last slide before we really dive into frauds and scams is to understand, in closing, that financial abuse is elder abuse. And this may occur on its own, meaning simply a financial abuse happening to us with monetary loss, and sadly can occur with other forms of elder abuse, such as physical neglect, and most likely always there is an emotional abuse component as an abuser wants to gain that power and control over us. And so that is helping us understand what can occur under the form of elder abuse when we're speaking specifically about that financial abuse. Now, looking at another form of abuse that happens to older adults that are targeting us with fraud and scams. And this morning, as I was just updating the slide deck, I came across this slide and thought how appropriate this is showing us in that puzzle on frauds and scams, and really highlighting the danger that is happening when older adults are being targeted by theft from these con artists that are attacking us over the phone, over the internet, sometimes showing up at our door, sending a text message, that we need to be able to identify what is real from what could be a fraud or a scam that is happening. So let's begin to break down the difference between what the two mean. What are the two forms of deceptions that are happening, and is their goal, regardless if it's a fraud or a scam? Again, it's to come after our money and at times our personal information. So a fraud, by definition, typically involves that unauthorized access to personal information. trying to get your banking information, maybe your social insurance number, a health card. Because with our personal information, sadly, we know that fraud can then happen in the form of identity theft, or identity theft to then target and get money out of our bank account. A scam is something that is designed to try and manipulate victims into sadly willingly provide their information by causing a scam that could create fear, anxiety, a scam that can try and pretend I'm a family member, I'm a friend, or I'm the government, I'm Canada Post. Both a fraud and a scam rely on manipulating and targeting us to get our information for the goal of getting our money. And we understand that every single day, scams and fraud, cyber crimes that are targeting businesses and targeting individuals can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And our goal is always to say it is never your fault, you are never to blame, you are never to shame, because these people are professional criminals targeting us every day to defraud us of our money. So never feel that it is your fault. You have been targeted, you are a victim, and there's support and help, of course, to be there to ensure that this doesn't ever happen to you again. And our goal today is to try and put prevention in place so none of us ever become a victim of a fraud or a scam or financial abuse. These are just some of the headlines I was able to capture from the latest news stories. And for a lot of us, I think every day when we turn on our local news, there's always something new. A new story, a new fraud, a new scam, a new door-to-door person coming around, a new text message, a new email. But the goal always remains the same. They want our money. So how do we begin to understand what are the differences between real businesses or the banks or the government versus a fraud or a scam? And so what I want to do is begin by looking at, I like to say, the 4 R's. This needs to become our continued recognition every time we answer the phone, we answer the door, and even better yet, as I said, don't even open the door to somebody you don't recognize. We respond to an email or a text message, that we have to say to ourselves, do I recognize you? Do I know who you are? Do I recognize this number? Do I recognize your voice? The moment something inside of us begins to say to us, I don't know who this is, I don't know why you're calling me, I want you to immediately reject. Hang up the phone, do not open your door to anyone you don't recognize. Reject any email that looks like it's coming from the bank, your credit card company, an email saying you won a prize, an email saying your Amazon account has been compromised. The moment we see anything that we didn't authorize or that we didn't engage with the bank, reject immediately. And then let us reach out to that person directly, meaning if we do get an email or a phone call and the bank is saying, oh, your money is being taken out, you are being defrauded, you have to give us your information so we can help you. No, hang up from that phone call or that email, call your bank directly. let them know what's happened, that you just received a phone call, you want to make sure everything is okay. Just yesterday, I got a text message from my insurance company saying I needed to click on a link so I could be entitled to a 20% discount. And they had the logo of the insurance company, and I'll be honest, it was the insurance company that I used. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? The insurance company is texting me, they've never done this before, and they want to offer me a discount. Well, it's great, we all want to save money. But I'll be honest, it took me a moment to think, could this be a fraud or a scam? I deleted it immediately. I rejected it. I called my insurance provider and said, hey, just got a text message from you. And before I even finished, they're like, no, we do not text our customers. They're like, I hope you deleted it, because God forbid if you clicked on it, it could have put a spam or something on my phone trying to get my personal information or money. So it just shows us that it can happen to any of us, anywhere, from any company. But the goal is always the same, to defraud us. So we need to take a moment to recognize, reject, and reach out directly to call whomever is there pretending to be, so we can make sure everything is okay and say, yes, I protected myself, because that is what matters. And last but not least, to report. If you've ever become a victim of a fraud or scam, please note there are support resources, from reporting to the police, to the Canadian Anti-Fraud, and of course reporting to your bank immediately to stop your account from being defrauded or having any money come out from your credit cards, checking account, or debit card. Immediately reach out to your financial institution. So these 4 R's, we hope, in working with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre as well as provincial police partners across the province, help us each and every day to say we need to recognize, reject, reach out, and report, so we can get in front of any fraud or scam, because they're constantly changing, to be alert. And we always say, as soon as the word money comes into the equation, let's realize right there, that's a red flag. Reject immediately. Scammers will do everything to create an emergency. They want to create an emergency because when they create panic, we get nervous and we may forget, and may not be thinking clearly. And exactly that was done to create the grandparent scam, which has now extended into the, your children, your family members, or neighbor, family overseas. This scam has extended to say somebody is in trouble, they're in jail, and you need to help them by giving us money. So that scam sadly is continuing, and it's becoming more aggressive, and every day older adults are receiving these phone calls by fraud and criminals who are claiming their family is in trouble and they must pay money to get them out of jail. Another scam, and it's kind of appropriate as here we are on Valentine's Day, where we hear about a scam not only in Canada but around the world that continues to target us, men and women, which is called the romance scam. And this is a scam different than the emergency scam, because this scam tries to create feelings of friendship, feelings of love, and feelings to create wonderful emotions by somebody we don't know, we've never met, but they claim that they are going to be able to, provide a life of happiness and riches and travel forever. And what this scam does is really not only prey on our emotional side, but their goal, and their only one goal, is to get money. This scam has shot up in Canada by over 237% last year. I don't know if any of you were watching on, I believe it was Sunday Evening Marketplace. And Marketplace is one of my favorite Canadian documentary shows, and they continue to highlight this scam. And this was featured by a older adult, a lady in her 50s, who believed she had met somebody over a working network, a very popular working network called LinkedIn. And this person reached out to her and said, hey, I like what you do in business. We should be in business together. So long story short, from a few emails back and forth, it began to go into more of a romantic exchange of emails. And before she realized, she had sent this person who she'd never met, never seen, over $100,000. And so that's where we say it can happen to anyone. And it's never to blame or to shame. We are dealing with criminals, and this is their job. So please, as we'll tell everyone, never send money to any person for any reason whatsoever that you've never met and that you don't know. If you get a grandparent scam call or any call trying to tell your family is in trouble, recognize, reject it, reach out immediately to your family and make sure everybody is okay. This way, when we follow those steps, we're able to try and get in front and put prevention in place so we don't become a victim. We all need to look out for any of those automated calls or those calls that are trying to claim that there's a bank or the credit card. We try and, we hear this, press 1 if you want the charges to go through, or hi, it's Emily from Amazon. Anytime you hear any of those calls, those robocalls, or what we call spoofing calls, fake calls, reject immediately. You don't need to speak to anyone ever that you don't recognize. Hang up the phone. And many times people will say, well, Mary, wasn't there a national juvenile call list where we could put our number on? Yes, but unfortunately, the fraud and scam artists don't use the national do not call list because they're calling from automated computers that are dialing hundreds and hundreds of numbers at the same time. So anytime you pick up the phone, your cell phone, your home phone, I want you to be ready and say, could this be a scam? I'm going to be ready to recognize, and I'm ready to reject, because I will not let anybody take advantage of my money and my personal information. And this is our power to say no. We never have to be afraid to say no to anyone on the phone, to anyone who's trying to show up at our door to pressure us into signing a contract that we knew nothing about, someone who's canvassing door to door claiming to be from maybe a charity or a hospital, or anyone who's trying to urgently tell you, you must sign, you must pay today, you must do this, because they want to put pressure on you to get your money. Your power is the word no, and know that you have every right to tell anyone you're not interested, you're not signing, You need time to think, and you want to show this to maybe a family member or even your lawyer. No is your power to let them know you're not afraid, and you don't have to be pressured into any type of sales tactic. Important information that always comes to us through the Canadian Banking Association. Regardless of who you bank with, the Canadian Banking Association has said, please beware of any unsolicited calls where that caller is asking for your personal information. No bank will ever call you or email you, and they will never text you asking you for your name, your address, your birthday. The banks will never ask you for your social insurance number or your credit card or banking information on an unsolicited call, meaning they're calling you, you didn't call them, or they're going to email, no, or text you, no. If you didn't initiate the call, how do we know who we're really talking to? And this should go for every single time we're on the phone. I didn't call you, so how do I really know who you are? I'm going to reject. I'll call you back at a number that I know is safe and secure. So this is our prevention, this is our power, and our ways to keep safe. The prize scam continues to happen every day, where scammers are calling to, congratulations, you've won money, cars, luxury vacations. Again, anything to trying to get us to think, wow, this is fantastic. The only catch is they want you to send a small prize fee. So what does that mean? It means 1,000% it is a scam. So let's think again. I didn't call you. I don't know who you are. I don't even remember entering any contest to win anything. And in Canada, there are no such thing as prize fees or taxes. Right across Canada, no matter what province you live in, if you won a prize, it is free. So please be aware of any of these claims or these upfront scams, and again say to yourself, why do I have to give you something if I've won something? I didn't call you, you called me. Reject immediately. And know always, you are not alone. If you are a victim of financial abuse or a fraud or a scam, just take a moment, collect your thoughts, contact your bank immediately to get the accounts frozen so nobody can take any money out. Please know you can contact your local police department to report the incident, because you want to ensure you're always going to protect yourself from any type of future fraud or scam that could occur or happen again. Know you were never to blame, and there is no shame, and the supports are there to be there to help you every step of the way. Prevention is always key, so we always want to keep in mind that we never want to ever give information over a call, from a call, again, that we didn't make. This is why we always say better to just hang up rather than start talking and giving out any personal information. And to take that time and say to yourself, could this be a fraud or a scam? Does this call even make sense? What is it they're actually wanting from me? Why are they asking for money? Why are they asking for my information? Then you will know right there, I'm going to hang up and reject, because I know prevention and I'm taking care of myself. Reporting, and I believe there's a lot of handouts there which will have all these wonderful numbers and information for you from the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. and the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre working with local law enforcement across Canada and all elder abuse locations across the country for us, as we always have gone over, to recognize it, to report it so we can stop it, because the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is there to gather as much information as they can to work with law enforcement to try and identify where the frauds and scams are coming from. We also want you to know you can report any financial abuse or any fraud and scam to your local police department, or you can call Crime Stoppers right across Ontario. It's a free call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Crime Stoppers will be there to take your information and help you with resources in terms of reporting financial abuse or any type of fraud and scam that you've been a victim of. The Senior Safety Line is another great resource. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across the province, where you can call us day or night if you need any support, any information or referrals to services for older adults. No call is too small, no call is too large. The Senior Safety Line is run by the Assaulted Women's Helpline under the Ontario government banner for seniors and accessibility, to ensure day or night there's someone you can call and reach out to, and the counselors are there to help you. If you're ever frightened by any type of fraud or scam call, you're unsure about it, or about financial abuse, that something may not feel right, please know you can call us day or night. Our website as well, wonderful resources, and I believe they've been printed out for you to be able to take home with you today, with great tips that we've talked about, and of course all the resource numbers are on the back, so should you need to access them, they will be there on the handouts for you. Or please come visit us anytime at eapon.ca. All our resources are there for you to be able to browse and have a look through. And in closing, I know I may sound like I repeated it many times, but this is going to be our prevention, to recognize, to reject, to reach out, and to report, so we protect what is most important, is ourselves, our loved ones, and protecting our money from any type of financial abuse or fraud and scam that is trying to target us. As well, I just want you to know that the Elder Abuse Prevention Office as well. Anytime you can give us a call. The numbers again are on the handout, and we are there to offer that support and information. The Toronto number is the central number at 416-916-6728. Please feel free to call our office. All calls are confidential. All calls are free of charge, and we are there to work with you, help you, guide you, and assist you any way we best can in supporting you. And so all the partners together are there to ensure older adults in Ontario can feel safe and respected every single day. My information is here as well as the website. You can reach out to me or email me. I also want you to know I can be available to help should you need any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to talk about, as well as one of the elder abuse prevention counselors. So there we go. I promised I would have this wrapped up for you because I know time is important, but I want to now stop sharing so we can open up for Q&A discussion. And first of all, give yourselves a round of applause for coming out today for learning, because you want to protect yourself. So I'm proud of all of you today for making the effort to come out today on this Wednesday afternoon. So thank you so much.
Round of applause for you guys. Anybody have any questions for Mary?
Everyone deserves a big round of applause.
Anybody have any questions on either of the components?
I have just a comment.
Can you hear that, Mary? Can you hear her in the audience?
Can you hear me?
I believe I can hear you. I heard you said a comment.
Oh, yes, please, yes. I'm a private investigator in Ontario and have been for over 15 years. I deal with these cases all the time. And one thing I tell people when they get mixed up with somebody online that they're chatting to and they're getting romantic with is when I look at the emails, the sentence structure is incorrect. The wording is wrong, the grammar is wrong, and you think, okay, how can you believe that this guy's from Texas when he can't put together the sentence? But one thing that I have learned is that that's exactly what scammers do. Because if they feel that you're willing to overlook all of that, you will overlook other things, more important things later on. Because we all just want to believe when we find somebody that we feel like we connect with, we just want to believe that that's the case and this person really likes me and and he really needs my help or whatever the situation may be. I mean, I've seen some crazy things. I've seen men show me passport pictures of women that they met online. And I'm thinking, who gives somebody their passport picture, number one? But number two, the passport picture itself is some lady in the park, okay, with her hair outside the frame, and a hat on, like crazy things. So like we just know, I know right away when I look at that is fake. But the person really wants to believe. So sometimes you really have to try to get people to think, okay, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right. There's too many red flags, and it's sad it happens so often.
Thank you. So true. You hit on so many good points. And sometimes, you're right, and that second set of eyes, we're saying, hey, look how their grammar, look at the context of the message, or look at the photos. Have you actually seen them? Have you met them? But sadly, what's happened is they've manipulated that other person into believing everything that they're saying is true, and then they say to them, oh, friends and family will be jealous. They don't want to see you happy. They're going to try and tell you our love isn't real. This is one of the worst scams. We always say the romance scams, because not only is it financially defrauding people, it's an emotional scam that leaves the heart sometimes broken into million pieces, and you will never ever find or see this person. But you believe, sadly, that it is real. And so our best job is to be there to support that person as best we can, to try and show them love shouldn't cost anything. So those are some great points that we will definitely share and continue in our workshop. Thank you so much. Great information.
Thank you, Mary.
Any other questions or comments? Doesn't look like it. Thank you, Mary.
Everybody's ready to fight crime? We're ready to go attack those scammers? Good. Let's hang up on them. Enough is enough. We're polite people, but only to people we know. So that's it. We don't know you, you're getting the reject. Goodbye.
Great. Thanks for this great information. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Can we applause for Mary?
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.